Hi, I'm Laura McMahon-Higgins. Welcome back to Nasty or Necessary, the series where we examine common clauses from commercial construction contracts and answer the question, is it necessary or just plain nasty? Today we are going to be looking at coordination clauses, something I spend a great deal of my time arguing about. We're going to do something a little unique today and consider the effect of these provisions not in the contract between the principal and the contractor, but between the contractor and the subcontractor, because that is where these clauses are more prevalent. This is what a typical coordination clause will look like. The subcontractor must, at its cost, coordinate the works with the works being carried out by the contractor, the contractor's other contractors, or any third party. The subcontractor is not entitled to make any claim in respect of carrying out its coordination obligations. In theory, imposing an obligation on a subcontractor to cooperate or coordinate the works with others on site might sound harmless until we consider how this clause would work in practice. Let's imagine that I'm the electrical contractor in the construction of a hotel. After I've done my first fix, which is installing the cables in the roof space, I need to wait for the ceiling contractor to come to site and install the ceilings before I can proceed with my second fix, which is screwing the light fittings into the ceiling. If the ceiling contractor is late in installing the ceilings, my works are delayed. I can't install the light fittings in thin air and then have the ceiling installed around them. In other words, the progression of my work is entirely dependent on another contractor. Traditionally, in this situation, I could claim an extension of time so that my completion date is extended, which means I don't have to pay liquidated damages. And I may also be able to submit a delay and disruption claim to cover any costs I incur if my team is on site longer due to the delay caused by the ceiling subcontractor, but not if I've signed a contract with a coordination clause. Let's look at that text again. The subcontractor must, at its cost, coordinate the works with the works being carried out by the contractor, the contractor's other contractors, or any third party. The subcontractor is not entitled to make any claim in respect of carrying out its coordination obligations. So, as the electrical subcontractor, I'm deemed to have allowed for the cost of coordinating my works with the ceiling subcontractor, and I'm not entitled to make a claim for an extension of time or delay cost as a result of the delay caused by coordination. What this clause does is potentially expose a subcontractor to liquidated damages when they run late due to the actions of another subcontractor, which is not something that they have any visibility or control over. I can understand why a contractor would want to limit a subcontractor's entitlement to claim an extension of time for a coordination problem, because this is not something it could claim an extension of time for under the head contract. If a contractor awards time downstream that it cannot claim upstream, that can result in it becoming liable for liquidated damages under a head contract with no corresponding ability to recover those funds under the subcontract. However, there is a gap between understandable and necessary. It is ultimately the contractor's responsibility to coordinate the works, and therefore liability for the coordination should sit with the contractor. So these clauses weigh in as nasty. If you want to protect against this clause, delete the words "at its cost" and add text similar to this at the end of the clause. Delays caused to the critical path of the subcontractor's works by the contractor, the contractor's other contractors, or any third party shall be a qualifying cause of delay and a compensable cause of delay for the purposes of this contract. This will allow the subcontractor to claim an extension of time and delay cost for coordination delays, which is particularly important for services contractors. So, mechanical, electrical, hydraulic, fire, BMS, and security. If your contract has a coordination clause, you need to include my amendment. That wraps up this episode of Nasty or Necessary. If you found this helpful, please follow along for more content or sign up to complete our online training course today. Train or pain? It's an easy choice.